So let us continue with where we left in day 2 for day 3. So in day 2 where we left was we were having this particular data frame. The name of a data frame was df underscore dictionary, which was a data frame, and it was having this kind of a data that was having a day, that were some dates, a temperature, a wind speed, and event. So using this as an input data, we will start executing the next instructions. So going into the next one, let's try to understand what it does. The first instruction that we have over here is get dummies. So for a pandas that we imported as pd.get dummies, and we are creating the dummies for df underscore dictionary event. So df underscore dictionary event was having run, sunny, snow, and so on. So what this particular thing does is this get dummy. If the rain is present, so for a rain, it will make a 1. If for the next row, there is a sunny present over here, it will keep other things as 0 and make sunny as 1. And similarly, if there is snow present, it will make snow as 1. So what this get dummies does is, it basically just makes multiple columns, and this number of columns will depend on how many values you have, like rain, sunny, snow, and so on. And for the corresponding value, it will make 1. And in the next instruction that we see over here, what we are doing is we are doing a concat. So what this concat will do is, we are saying that pd.concat. What the two things we are concatenating? We are concatenating the df underscore dictionary, the original data frame, and we are concatenating with dummy. Dummy is this particular data frame that we just made using get dummies. And these two things we are concatenating. We are concatenating on the basis of access 1. We know that this is access 0 and this is access 1. So since we are concatenating by specifying access 1, it is just concatenating the column wise. You are getting another columns over here, and finally we are printing this. So this is about get dummies. Get dummies is very important operation when we actually do the machine learning, or we do any of the algorithms in machine learning. This get dummies are more popularly known as one-hot encoding. It is more popularly known as a one-hot encoding. What do you mean by one-hot encoding is, you will have a single 1 value over here. So it's a one-hot encoding. You can see a numeric 1. So it is called as a one-hot encoding. So get dummies and one-hot encoding are same thing, and we use this one-hot encoding extensively when we do a machine learning. Okay. So any idea or any guesses why we must be using this one-hot encoding? Why can't we use event? In machine learning, what we do is we just make whatever is the categorical variables like this. We make a one-hot encoding out of this, something like this, and we basically drop this particular column. We just simply drop this particular column. We don't use this. So can any one of you just, guess why we do this way? Why we don't use directly this one, and we do a one-hot encoding to make something like this? And
Because
then
I think because we, based on the event, we will assign some percentage or some value or some factor to it, probably. So if it is rain, let's say for example, house X means, double the price, Y means half of the price probably. So because of this differential multiplication factor.
I think like machine will understand this 1 and 0 better than these events.
1 and 0 machine understands better. Yeah, somewhere near. Yes.
Because I remember last time you told that in machine learning we are always doing like 1 and 0 whenever we are defining our algorithms.
Yeah. So what happens is, if you take a simple machine learning algorithm, right? So a simple equation of a line that you studied in mathematics, y is equal to mx plus c. So x was this particular coordinate, y is this coordinate. Given the value of x, you have to predict the value of y, right? And this m is the slope and c is a constant that we already know by some way, right? So similarly in machine learning also it's the same way. Y is equal to, instead of this constant c, we call it as a beta 0. Then we call it as a beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 plus beta 3 x3, right? And so on. So this is my machine learning algorithm. And this is simply a linear regression, right? The first machine learning algorithm that we'll study. So forget about it. But what we should just understand right now is, for a get dummies, is over here, when I'm building this line, y is equal to beta 0 x1 plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 and beta 3 x3, right? This x1, x2, x3 is what? It can be this column x1, this can be x2, this can be x3, right? And this can be x4, this can be xy, this can be x6, this can be x7. So if I'm building some equation, something like this, if I am having a numeric value, I can use it. If I am having a wind speed, I can use it. If I am having ones and zeros, I can still have the equation something like this. But can I have beta 1 into rain or beta 1 into sunny? Can you multiply like this? Can you have something like this? No, right? Because what is a machine learning? It is completely mathematics. You need to do some mathematics over here. You cannot do a mathematics on a alphabets. You have to have some ones and zeros or some numeric value over there. So in order to get the numeric values, what you do is you do a one hot encoding. You basically convert the categorical. This is called as a categorical. Okay, this is called as a categories. You can call it as a categorical feature, right? Categories. You are having different categories: rain, sunny, snow. So what you need to do is you need to convert it into ones and zeros so that you can make some equation out of it, right? So that's why it is required to convert whatever categorical variables you have into ones and zeros so that you can fit a line on it or whatever. Not just necessarily a line, you can fit any type of a curve that makes more sense for that particular use case. Any questions?
It's 1 and 0 only, like we have three categories here, right? So how we means based on 1 and 0 define like these are three different categories.
So this ones and zeros are interpretable, right? You can interpret over here, right?
No, I
You
mean
can
like
interpret
you
by
said
looking
like
into this one that it was nothing but it was rain.
okay. Okay, I was just trying to like define it based on the categories. Like, is it like we can define rain is 1, snow is 2, and sunny is 3, something like that?
Right. So that's a good question. Why don't we define a rain, snow, and sunny like that? Rain as 1 and snow as 2 and sunny as 3. Right. That's a good question. So can anyone answer? So instead of defining 100, can anyone brainstorm? Why don't we define? We just encode this event as rain as 1, sunny as 2, snow as probably 0 or whatever. 0. Rain
Is it
was
again like mutually exclusive or something else?
right, mutually exclusive, right? Somewhere near, yes. In fact, that's the correct answer. So can you explain what do you mean by it? So
Meaning, so,
he's
I
saying that it is a
mean,
mutually exclusive. So can you
yeah.
explain this? Why?
I mean, I don't know, but exactly, but maybe, like each event will have individual impact, meaning all three will not have the,
Right.
combined
So
impact.
what you're trying to say is rain and sunny is independent. You cannot really wait that, okay, rain is 1, sunny is 2. The equation will spoil, right? I cannot say y is equal to mx plus c, and let's say this particular thing is event. I cannot just multiply by 1 and 2 and 3, right? Because if I start to multiply 1 and 2 and 3, what I mean to say is, if I do like this, I give this 1, 2, 3 kind of an encoding. I mean to say that rain is 1, that means rain is less superior. Sunny is more superior because you are giving a higher value 2. You are giving a higher value 3 to snow. So you try to say that, okay, snow is more superior, right? But that's not a fact. So these are the weights. Okay, if you're giving like this 1, 2, and 3, that will make your equation very unstable, because you are trying to say that rain is less superior, sunny is more superior by giving that 2, and snow is more superior by giving it 3. So you cannot do it for this kind of an example. But definitely for this example, you have to do something like this only: rain, snow, and sunny as 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, and so on. Any other example you can think of where you can give this kind of a values 1, 2, 3? So events, you cannot give this value kind of a 1, 2, 3. You have to give something like this, because this doesn't mean that sunny is more superior than rain or something like that. So you cannot do that. But do you think of any use case wherein you can give the values 1, 2, and 3?
Maybe like the house pricing based on the locality. Like if this location, then we can give a higher value to
Locality, yes.
place
You depending
based on the areas.
you can do. So let's say grade you are having excellent, good, bad. So probably what you can do is, if you want to encode this, if you want to encode it, you can definitely give a excellent as higher weightage of 3, 2, and 1, right? You can also give it other ways, 1, 2, and 3, it will still work, because it will tune the equation accordingly. It will assign the weights accordingly. So such kind of a thing, right, wherein you are having a particular hierarchy, right? So instead of saying a mutually exclusive, you could have said that hierarchy, right? Because this is also mutually exclusive, hierarchy, right? So if you are having certain hierarchical features, right, you are having something called as a hierarchical features. Okay, this is having a particular hierarchy, then I can give the encoding as 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1, whatever, right? So most of the times one hot encoding will work perfectly. Even for the hierarchical feature, you can give this 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1, or else for this hierarchical feature also you do this way, it will still work. Okay, but for this case you cannot give 1, 2, 3, right? You can only give 1, 2, 3 for the hierarchical case. Else if you give 1, 2, 3 for this, probability is that your machine learning algorithm won't be that, I mean, the accuracy will be less, prediction won't be that good. Okay, let's go ahead. Any questions in this? Okay, let's go ahead. Can anyone explain what it is doing? Can anyone explain what these 4 instructions are doing? You can look into the output and also explain, no worries.
So one, we are setting wind speed as 4, the top one, first one.
Okay, first one we are setting the wind speed as 4.
And then we are adding new column with value 10.
So in the first one, what we are doing is we were changing the wind speed to 4. So you can see that DF dictionary wind speed has changed to 4. Over here, the next one we are doing is we are adding a new column. We are adding a new column, whatever, because this column was not simply existing. So it added a new column. If it was already there, then it would have just overwritten it, the values. But if this is not there, then it's adding a new column. And we are putting the value 10 over here for everything. Okay, what are we doing in the next one? This one, new column 2 is np.arange 8. What are we doing over here?
Adding a new
Yeah,
column
this
with the
is
1 to 7 values in the range of 8.
Right, np.arange we know, right? It is something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? We know this. np.arange is 0 to 8, 7. So what we are doing is we are just putting this into this column 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, perfect. Okay, for the next one, can you explain what we are doing in the next one? np.arange length of df dictionary. So what will be the output of length of df dictionary?
8.
8, right? You can see there are 8 rows, right? There are 8 rows. So length of df dictionary will give you obviously 8.
8.
And np dot a range will give you 0 to 7.
0 to 7.
The same thing over here as well, right? Just that instead of just hard coding the value 8, because you may not really know there are how many columns, right? So you cannot, or else even if you know, then you have to change every time the data is changing. So instead of writing 8 every time, we are just saying that np dot 8 range length of df dictionary. So if length is 8, then it will be 8. If it is something else, it will be something else. Okay, let's go ahead. So can anyone explain what are we doing over here?
So new column we are deleting.
Okay, first thing we are doing over here is we are deleting
The
first
new
thing.
columns to delete.
Okay, we are deleting a new column, right? New column was this column.
Yeah.
It's taking a little bit more time to zoom in and zoom out.
Yep.
Okay. So what we are doing over here is we are deleting a new column. So this particular new column is gone, right? We don't see new column over here. So if there is a single column to be deleted, we can delete it this way. What are we doing over here? Can anyone explain what is this code for?
You are taking the columns in a list and deleting using a for loop.
So we are putting all the columns that we want in a list, right? We have just created a list, a square bracket is a list, and giving what are the columns that I want to delete, these two columns. Then we are just iterating through that list for C in columns to delete df dot dictionary C. So from this data frame, we are just deleting this particular two columns as well, right? So these three columns are deleted. Okay, perfect.
So even like new column 2, new column 3 can give in first command itself, first sentence itself also, comma like that.
No, you cannot do that.
Cannot. Okay.
Yeah, you cannot do. You have to. It only accepts a. It only accepts
Single argument.
a single string. Doesn't accept a list. You can try later on, but it doesn't accept. So, okay, let's see this, and you try to answer what we are doing over here. Can you just explain me what we are doing in the step 1?
It's a dictionary.
Step 1, what we are doing is we are basically creating a data frame out of this particular dictionary, right? Whatever we have created. So what will be the columns in this particular data frame? df underscore a. What will be the columns?
Day, temperature, wind
temperature,
speed, event.
Okay, so there will be these columns, right? Day, temperature, wind speed, and event. And whatever is the values you can see over here will come. Whatever is this values will come over here. Perfect. So we are just creating a data frame. Okay, can you explain what we are doing over here? We are just printing. Okay, for here we don't see any instruction. We are just printing something, right? We are just
So index
and we are
0,
just
1, 2.
printing the index. So what will be the index over here? 0, 1, 2, 3, right?
1, 2, 3,
0, 1, 2,
4,
3,
5,
0, 1, 2,
6.
3, 4, 5, 6, right? 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
So we are just printing the index over here. So we'll get all the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, what we are doing over here, set index.
we are setting a day as index.
Setting a day as index, right? So our index will go away and this day will in fact become an index. We are setting an index as a day. So the day will be the index. So this will be the index 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And finally, we are just printing it. So basically in this particular demonstration, we are just using a single instruction to change the index, but I have just explained you before and after. So we just created a new data frame. Okay. And before it was having an index as 0, 2, and it was starting till at 7, stopping at 7. and the step was of 1. Then in the step 3, what we did was we replaced the index with a day using a set index function. And afterwards, when we see that the index is changed to the day, right? So before, you can see that the index was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the index is 1, 1, whatever date is the index. Okay, can anyone explain what will be the output of this?
1.
df underscore a log 1 2 2015, what will be the output?
It will give you the first row.
This one, right? So it will say that the temperature is 32, the wind speed is 6, and the event is rain. So you can see that whatever.
Actually, that's what is 02. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, this one, right?
1, 2,
35,
3,
7 and sunny.
Yeah.
My bad. We are looking for a 2nd of January. So what will this do? dfa.ilog.
It will take the
Inherent
internal
location.
index.
Okay. So basically we know that this index is still 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So it's basically taking this particular thing, because if we say ilog, then we have to give that a running number. It cannot be duplicate as well. If we say log, then we have to give whatever was the index. Okay, can anyone explain what will be the output of this one?
It will return the index of 1, 2, the values in the 1, 2 index.
So 1 and 2 index, right? This and this. Why not 3, 1?
3.
Because until 3.
Okay, so it will only give 1 and 2, right? Meaning these two values. Let us see. Okay, so it gives this two value. Okay, can anyone explain what will this give? df underscore a loc.
So it will give value of only temperature and wind speed.
So it will give the value of only temperature and wind speed. We are not asking for the event. So it won't give you event. It will just give you a temperature and wind speed. Okay, perfect. Can anyone say what will this give?
Start and the end, right? This one, 0, 1.
What? Can you just put
First row. And
what will this
0.
give? Sorry?
First row, it
Will
will
it be
select
like
the first row and column 0, 1.
Column and 0 and 1, right? So first row, I mean the one at the index 1. So this one, right? This one was at the index 1. So it will give for
Yeah.
this one, right? And so this is nothing but the index. This is nothing but the index. So it will give you the index at 1. ilog, so index at 1. And this 0 and 1 is nothing but the columns. So this is my 0th column, this is my first column, this is my second column. So it will give me temperature and wind speed. So this one and this one are similar, right? This one and this one are similar, right? So just try to keep in your mind that this one is for the axis, and after comma, whatever you give is for the columns, right? Okay. If not clear, it's okay. We'll see this one. So can anyone say what will this give? What is this?
so again. So this will be like first and second row with 0 and 1
First
column.
and second index, right? First and
Index,
second
sorry.
index.
Index.
Yeah.
And what will this give?
Column 0, 1.
Same column.
Column 0 and 1, right? So first and second index, you said first and second index, and 0 and first column, right? If I go up and see, then can you tell me which one?
So 1, 2, 2015.
First and
And
second
1,
meaning
3.
these two, right? And
Yeah.
column which you took, you only took 0 and first column, right? Meaning these
So
two.
temperature and wind speed.
Wind
Yeah.
speed.
Temperature and wind speed. So basically it will give you this one, right? 35, 7, 28, 2, right? So same thing you can do in different ways, right? So you can see that it gave these two, temperature and wind speed. Right? Any questions in this so far?
So all this will be used in ML.
You have to use, I mean, you won't use it in machine learning. You will use in data preparation, data wrangling, whatever you do, right?
Okay.
Before doing machine learning. Doing machine learning is just 5 or 10% of the work. The main work is doing this.
Okay.
So before doing machine learning, whenever you are doing all this data ready, you have to do like this. Again, you can do in different ways, right? You can give the index, you can give the column. Usually you won't give the index because, I mean, for the columns, you will surely never give the index. Because if you give the index as 0 and 1 for the column, the code becomes less readable, right? But if you want to trouble someone, then you can use it. So you will usually not use like this. You will use this way, right? And in fact, most of the courses don't even cover this way. Some good books also cover this way, so you should still know. Okay, can anyone explain what will this give?
Index
So
1, 2, index 1, 2, and 0 and 1 column.
0 and 1 column, right? Because we are giving in a range starting from first index until 3, so 1 and 2. 0 to 2, meaning 0 and 1 until 2, right? 0 and 1. So it's basically the same thing, right? So same thing
Yes.
can be written as above and something can be written as this way, right? Because 1 to 3 means 1 and 2, same thing. 0 to 2 meaning 0 and 1, that is over here. 0 until 2 means 0 and 1. It's the same thing, right? So these all things, if you read the code again and again, you write yourself, practice it, then only it will go in your mind for a long time. If you just listen to me, now you will understand. If you look after 1 week, 2 weeks, you don't remember anything. Okay, so can anyone explain what will this do? Reset index.
meaning use the main one. I mean, whatever we have set.
Internal
and set it.
index.
Internal index, right? Because we had changed the index to the day, right? Sometime back, we had changed the index to day, right? So over here, you see, we had changed the index to day. So if you want to change the index to some particular column, then you use set index. And if you want to change it back to internal, then you can use it this way. Okay. So why do you think we need to set the index to a day? Any guesses? I mean, let's say we were, okay, let's put the question this way. We did a set index on a day. We did not do a set index on temperature, wind, and event. We never did for this. We did the set index for a day in the above. Any guesses? I mean, can I also do set index temperature? Can I also do set index temperature?
Maybe it will be easier if you set the index as a day in order to get the values on like temperature, wind speed event on a particular day.
Right. So that's a correct answer, right? Because doing on a temperature won't add much sense. But doing an index on a day will add a more sense because whenever you want to retrieve a data. So this kind of a data is called what? So you're saying that if I want to, what you said is, I'm just reframing it, that you said that if I plot on if I do on a day, so this is my, that's why I set as an index as this one, 1, 15, 1, 2, 15, and 1, 3, 15. And if I want to plot the temperature, this was 32, this was 35, this was 28, this was 24, this was 32, something like this. So this kind of a data is called what? Example, a temperature versus a day, what we did, right? Similarly, you can also have a stock price, right? Stock price.
Linear
So
regression.
you can also have some data for a sales, right? Claims.
That is we call as a series, time series.
Time series, right? Perfect. So what we studied before was called as a Pandas. We studied as a series, right?
Series.
Pandas, you also have something called as a time series, right? So what is this time series? Something like this, right? And what do you mean by time series? Time series simply means that whatever you are having a series, you make the time as a index, right? In simple words, you just change the index to time. So it becomes a time series, and it becomes processing of such time series as very easy, right? We won't cover much of time series, but let's see if I get the time later on after the course, we will make some videos on that. But simply saying that time series is nothing different. Well, we have studied Pandas series. So time series is nothing but just make the index as time, like we did as a set index, and start playing with it. Okay, let's go ahead. So we saw about a reset index, and we also saw that most of the time whenever you're going to change the index, you are going to change the index to a day or something related to time. Can anyone say what will this do? df underscore a dot log 3.
Index 3, meaning 4th row, it will print, right?
So this index, right?
This one.
So you see that it is printed, right? Okay. This time, if I do I log 3, then what will happen?
Same
thing.
I log 3. It will happen same thing, right? Because
Yes.
the index that you have assigned and the internal index is also the same, right?
Same, yeah.
So you can do log 3 or I log 3, doesn't matter. But most of the times when you know the index value, you do log only. Okay, I log you will again seldom use. You should know what is log and I log. Locate and I locate. Okay, perfect. So can you tell me what we are doing over here?
again, setting event as index now.
Setting event as index.
Internal index.
So setting event as an index, you can see that index is set as event. Okay, what will this do?
It will return the row wherever it is no.
So it will return you these two things and this
Last
particular
row.
thing, right?
Yes.
So you can see that wherever the event was snow, it has written you that. Okay, let's go ahead. City, state, population, dictionary. So what is this?
We use this index like as a key to identify the data, right? So can we have like 2 indexes and identify data based on that?
Yes, you can have multiple index. We have done it later on.
Okay.
We also saw multiple index in series. We can also have multiple index over here. Hierarchical indexing.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, if no questions, then can anyone say what is this doing? Can you make out this thing, right? What we are doing is we are having a nested dictionary, right? And Mumbai, then 2018 is 5.5, 2019 and 6.6. Then Pune, 2018, 2019 and 2020. So we are just making a data frame out of it. So you can see that the first column and the second column is Mumbai, Pune, right? Mumbai and Pune. And again, this 2018 has become my index, and Mumbai was 5.5. Pune was 22.2. Then 2019 Mumbai was 6.6, and Pune was 33.3. And this way you can also define dictionary. Sorry, this way also using a dictionary you can also define a data frame this way. So you first defined a dictionary like this, and you made a data frame out of it. Okay, can anyone say what will this dot p do? Transpose, right? So what will be your index and what will be your columns?
So Mumbai, Pune will be index.
Index, yeah.
And 2018, 19, 20 will be column.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so rows becomes columns and columns becomes rows. Transpose. Okay. Again, over here, what we have done is we have made the similarly a dictionary for 2018-19 for Mumbai, and Pune was having 2018, 19 and 20. But over here, when we made a data frame, we only selected 19, 20 and 21. So can anyone guess what will happen to 2018?
Will not be selected.
Will not be shown,
NAM.
right? NAM.
Okay,
No, it won't come only, right? It's not NAM.
Okay.
It will not come only. And what will happen to 2021?
NN.
2021 will be NAM, right? So 2018 won't come because it only selected wanted for index 19, 20, and 21. And since so the 18 value is gone, and the 21 value is all NaN. Okay.
Harish,
So
can we
let's say
put
here,
one more level of nesting in that city state population dictionary? Just wanted to check if there is like how to.
So you want one more level of nesting over here, right?
You can just give the outer one that key name data maybe.
Something like this you are saying?
No, not like this. We can take Mumbai and Pune and give like put them in a dictionary with key data maybe, and then.
Okay, I just give you this instruction on the chat. You modify and give it back to me. I run for you.
Sure.
so Harish, one question, like whichever row has, I mean, if let's say all the columns in a row has NaN, so if we want to drop it, so how do we drop it actually?
Yeah, we will see down. There is
Okay.
a function called as a drop NA.
Okay.
We'll see it down. Okay. So let me know once you give back to me the other code.
Done. Can you check the chat please?
Okay. So this is what you have given to me, and okay. So it just took the data, was your column. But there is only a single column. And what did you do next? Data is a single column. The index is this. Right, 19, 20. So there was nothing for 19 and 20. So it's all none.
If
If
we
you
remove
just
this index,
if you just remove the index, then you will still get something. Probably only a single row. You will get only a single row or double row. So one for Mumbai and one for Pune.
I thought like it will give multiple index, but yeah, it's not like that.
Okay. So let's go ahead. I mean, it did effectively the same thing as above. So let's go ahead and let me execute this. Okay, perfect. So can anyone tell what is this 2 going to do?
Setting the index name as year.
Setting the index name as year. Okay, and what will the other thing do?
Columns city.
So this name will be changed to year, and this name will be changed to, I mean, not the name, there will be a higher hierarchy for Mumbai and Pune that will say that these are cities. So you can see that here is this side, and on this side is cities. Okay, perfect. Can anyone say what will this do?
It will return the index
Index
value.
value.
Index values, right? So 2019, 2020, and 2021. What will this do?
Column value.
Column values.
It will give you all the values inside, right? So 6.6, 33.3, whatever. NaN 44.4 and NaN come over here. Okay, what will this do?
Pune 2020 will be set to 4, is it?
Yeah, for Pune. So there is a Pune. And 2020 will change from 44.4 to 4. You can see that Pune is changed to 4.
In that case, we can give us 2020, then Pune. It will work, or it will.
You want to give 2020, then Pune. That is the index first and then the column. It should accept in the other fashion. It should say that it cannot find. Right?
Oh.
It says that it cannot find. So why it is this way is because if you can just execute only a single piece of code, right? If you just see what does this return. So this thing returns you the columns, a specific column for Pune, right? And when you specify this returns you that columns particular row. So then you can change it. But if you just change it to only the 2020, you don't specify the row first. You first specify the column. If you want to do this way, you are having LOC, right?
Okay.
So you cannot specify first the index. If you want to specify the first index, you have to use LOC.
Okay.
First will be always columns. Okay. Any other questions, anyone? Okay, this piece of code, can anyone explain what it is doing?
First, you are mounting to content and drive folder.
So
And
what
then
we are
you are
doing is we are mounting to our Google Drive. So it's connected to our Google Drive. And we are just copying the data
Copying.
from this particular location in my Google Drive, my Drive notebook data Pandas student marks.csv. So if I go to a Google Drive, I go to notebook data Pandas, and I'm having some things over here, right? So I'm just copying these particular three files, student marks, CSV, student marks, no header and comments, into the current directory, right? The current or the present working directory. So my present working directory, I don't know, it's a problem with, I think so is a problem with Edge. It works so slow. If you use the same thing on the Google Chrome, it's better. Okay, so I'm just copying this data, right? If I execute this student marks CSV, I'll copy it over here, student marks CSV. And whatever it's student marks CSV, then student marks no header, and student marks comments, right? So if now only it is there because it is executed some time back only. So it's not copying again. If I want to see the contents of the student marks.csv, I just double click and it will open on the right hand side. So you can see that this is the content out of it. The roll number, name, standard, subject, marks. This is the content out there. Some roll number, bill, whatever is over here. Student marks.csv, student marks no header. Student marks no header.csv is over here. And student marks no header and student marks comments is over here. Could not fetch student marks comments.csv from backend. So it couldn't fetch because I will show you over here student marks comments. Because the first two rows were having some comments, right? Hash file for this, some stupid data on the first two rows. So first two rows is a stupid data. We have to go away with the first two rows, right? So basically this is the data that is present in all these three files. And I'm just copying these three files so that we can play with it. So can anyone say what will this do? Student marks.csv, pd.read student marks.csv, what will this do?
This will read this file and create a data frame.
Data frame, right? So it will read this file and create a data frame. So you can see that this file is read and you've got a data frame out of it. Okay. Can anyone say what will this do? Nothing different, right? It's just a
Yeah,
plain
say
We'll
text.
skip rows.
skip first two rows.
Skip first two rows, right? So we are reading a comments for CSV file and we are skipping the first two rows. Why we are skipping the first two rows?
There is a junk data.
There's a junk data, right? Okay, you can have some header, you can have some control totals at the start and the end of the file that you may need to skip it, right? So skip the first 2 rows, and you get the data over here. So basically you just skip these 2 rows. Okay. Can you tell me what is this doing, header 2?
It will be same, is it? Because this command will understand there are 2 header lines. Includes like in Excel, is
Yeah,
it?
it will understand that the header is at the location number 2. So it will just ignore
Okay.
everything above it. So it's efficiently similar as skip rows 2. So you can say that I want to skip the first 2 rows, or you can also say that, okay, my header is at the index number 2, start from there. So you can use as above like this, or you can also use like this. So there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. Okay, can anyone say?
Can we put a condition saying like if there is a junk data, skip that rows, something in this?
Then you will have to do it programmatically. I mean, you cannot do like this. You will have to read it as a text file.
Okay.
And once you read it into as a text file into your program, then you have to go line by line and see that if this particular line is having a particular pattern, then skip it.
Okay, but you cannot do in a single line, right? No.
But you cannot do simply. You'll have to write at least some lines of code.
Okay.
Okay, so header 2. Okay, can anyone say what is this one doing?
Skip index 015.
Skip the rows 0, 1, and 5. So 0 and 1 was this one. 0 and 1 was this one. So it's basically skipping this one. This was 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is also skipping the mic 5 English 32. So it is also skipping the mic 5 English 32. So you can see that the mic 5 English 32 is missing over here. It was present over here. Over here, mic 5 English 32 is missing. So we are saying over that skip the rows number 0, 1, and 5. Okay. Can anyone explain what we are doing over here?
So if there's no header, it should copy header also, right? Effectively.
How will it get the header? There is not there in this file itself.
Oh, in that file. Okay, okay. It's not the comment file. Okay, it's
This is the other file. We are seeing the student marks no header file. Student marks no header file is not having anything. Student marks no header file. You don't have a header over here. You just have this data. So what will this do? So we are reading a student marks no header.
And it will copy as it is, assuming there's no header.
Assuming
Nothing to
there
skip.
is no header, right? But if I forget to write this, then what will happen? If I forget
Also,
to write
no
this,
issues. Should be same.
no, it won't be same, right? Because it will think that the first row is always a header. Because if I forget to write that there is no header, then it will take the first row as a header.
So it's like Excel, you know, exactly like Excel.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So it takes the first row as a header, right? But what you should do is you should exclusively specify that you don't have header. So it takes the column names as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what will this do? The next one.
It will assign the header. There's no header, but it will assign the header name, column name.
So what it is doing is we are just giving a column name separately over here, as column names are roll number, name, subject, and marks. So though we are reading from a no header file, we just specify we say that header is not present, and this should be the name of the column. So you see that you get the name of the columns as well. Okay, let's go ahead. This one. Can anyone say what will this do? This is an additional thing. So what will it do? What will this do?
It is setting R number as index.
Roll number as an index, right? So it's setting a roll number as an index.
And for column names, generally in the previous things you are mentioning columns is equal to, while setting the column names, you will mention column is equal to in a list, right? Now the column is replaced with names.
Right. So that was a different method. That was a two data frame method that you are using.
Okay.
Over here, we are using read CSV.
Okay.
So for read CSV, you have to specify the column names here, and the one that you are referring was two data frame.
Column, it will be a column and the index.
Let's find it out.
Yeah, in a double quote, right? Correct.
So this one again, this one was yesterday. I think so. We did not do it today, but yes, that was the one that you are saying was for this particular method, two data frame.
Okay.
PD.df dictionary, there is two data frame.
Before this, yeah, maybe. Here. Yeah.
Here, yes, data frame.
Okay.
So read CSV is a different function, and they have kept it differently. Okay, so this was done, and roll number index was also done. Okay, can anyone tell what are we doing over here?
Two it's
What
like
are we
nested
doing?
index, is it?
Okay, so we are
Looks
having
like
a
nested.
multiple index, right? So you are setting a first index as the roll number and second index as student. Oh, sorry, subject.
Subject.
So you can see that this is the roll number as first index and subject as a second index, right? So we are printing the entire data frame like this. What will this do?
Under the first index number 1.
Index 1 meaning the first one, right? To roll number
And
number 1.
Yeah, sub-index
Subject
English.
is English, right? So LOC is to specify the index wise. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead. What will this do? N rows is equal to 2. It's written that get only first two rows. What will it do?
First two rows.
Right. So you're reading from a CSV file and you're taking only the first two rows. You're only taking the first two rows. So you're saying only the two rows.
So number of rows, and rows meaning probably.
Right. N rows means number of rows. Okay. Can anyone say what will this do? NA values. Can just guess it. What will it do? NA values.
Meaning it will change from NA to not available.
Yeah. So it will, whenever it comes across the data, whenever it comes across a data, there is written as n.a. or it is written as not available, right? Let's see that. Student marks. So let me open a student marks.csv. So whenever it comes across n.a. you can see over here, or you can see over here n.a. or you can see over here not available. So whenever it comes across a data that is NA or not available, so it's saying that the NA values are NA or not available. So it converts that into NAN, not a number. It converts into NAN, that is not a number. Okay, let's go ahead. So what will this do? So we say that over here, NA values, if you come across n.a. or not available, it will change to NAN. So it changed to NAN over here. Can anyone guess what is this doing? We are also saying that NA values. Over here, we are saying that marks as this and subject as this.
It will check marks and subject columns and replace it with NAN.
So what we are saying that we are only going to replace the NA values in marks and subject column. In marks column, whenever we come across not available or NA, okay, whenever we come across not available or NA in the marks column, just replace it with NAN. And for the subject column, whenever we come across n.a dot, just replace it with na. n.a dot, replace it with na, right? So you can, this way, let's say you are working on a different kind of a things, right? Or a different template is present, let's say, or maybe subject can have a different NA values. You can have in a subject, the person who is doing a data entry can also put dash. It can also put X, that not available. For marks column, probably it will, some person can also put 0. Some person can also put 999. Can be any values, right, for not available. So you can specify a different set of values possible for a different columns for not available.
Can you set the NA values to some other value?
Can you set NA values to some other? You can only set to NaN over here. And later on, you can, later on after doing this step, you can use fill NA method
Fill NA, yeah.
to specify some other value. Option number 1. Or option number 2 is just keep as it is and later on use a replace function to replace n.a dot with 25.
Okay.
So use fill NA later on, or by doing this, or use simply replace. Okay. So what are we doing over here? Can you tell what will a 2 CSV do? What does a read CSV does?
It's the CSV file. So 2 meaning it creates a CSV file, is it?
Yeah, of course, right? So read CSV reads from a CSV into a data frame. Now data frame dot to CSV, what it will do is it will write the contents of a data frame to a CSV file, right? It will write a contents of a data frame to a CSV file. So if I say 21/08/23 is when I made this notebook on this thing, let's change it to 11, today's date. So if I do a 2 CSV, right? If you see over here, so it is going to create a CSV file for you. temp 21/09/11. Can you see temp 21/09/11?
Yes, yes, last one.
Oh, okay. So just double click on it. And you can see that the data is stored over here.
When you said index false, what does it mean actually?
Index false meaning that don't store the index over here. You can see this index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, don't store the
Don't
index
store
value.
the index over here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The best way is to try it, right? Default is index true. So let us do this again. Let me double click again. So you can see this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The index also came.
When we read, the index will also be read and moved to data frame, right?
Yeah, then it will create one more column. So,
Okay.
so it will get, so yeah. But seldom will be the, I mean, unless you are sharing the data with anyone, you won't be saving to CSV. Most of the time you will be reading from some files. Only when you want to share your data, what you're prepared for with other people to do machine learning or to just review or whatever, then only you will do to CSV. Okay, what will this do?
Harish, can we read the CSV file line by line, or because currently it extract everything and just put it into data frame, right? But if I want to read the CSV line by line, can I do that?
Yes, we will be doing later on. We will be doing it.
Using
You can
chunk
read line
size.
by line as well.
Using
But
chunk size, right?
I mean, you won't use this pandas for doing that. You will use
Okay.
another library, CSV library for that.
Okay.
But you can use chunk size for that. Chunk size equal to 1
Yeah, chunk
or
size was reading in a groups, right? Yes.
Oh.
But if you use chunk size for line by line, you will just add the overhead.
okay.
Don't use chunk for reading line by line. If you want to read 10 lines, then okay.
Okay.
But using a chunk size of 1 for line by line will just add additional overheads, making it more slow.
Okay.
Okay, so what will this do? Temp df.to CSV header is false. So what will this do?
Same, right? Effectively.
Header will not be stored over here. Header is missing, right?
Yeah.
We
Okay.
said that don't store the header. Okay, perfect. So what will the next one do, anyone? So
Separate by pipe.
df.to CSV, you want to store in, let me change it to today's date. Doesn't matter. This kind of, now Pandas is very stable. New things don't come that often. So this course will not change soon. You can listen it after 3 years also, it will be same. Machine learning also won't change for a longer time. The things like deep learning is fast changing. And in deep learning, when you study now, it will not be true after 1 year, changing rapidly. Machine learning, data analytics, it will be same for few years. It won't change now. It's almost stable, stagnant. So again, okay, we are. I mean, if you listen to this video after 3 years, it is still same. df.to CSV temp 210911 underscore pipe.txt. We are storing as a separator as pipe separator. We don't want to store the index. If there is a null value, I mean, there was nothing NaN, that is nothing was present over there. Store it as a null. And I only want to store roll number, name, and subject, right? So let us run this. Right click, refresh, double click. So the first thing that it should be a pipe separated. So it is all pipe separated. Second thing, I did not want to store index. So index is not present. Third thing, null, the blank value should be null. So here you can see that a blank value is null. And fourth thing was we said that we only want to store these three columns. So we are only storing these 3 columns. Right. Okay, any questions so far?
Harish, when you say blank value is equal to null, is that like a NaN value, or is it even if there is a space like I
No,
didn't enter, it's just
NaN value.
okay. So in that case, for example, I have 2 types of data, right? In that one, earlier we were having the subject as well as the marks. Then in that case, if I'm filling up the data, I want my subject as a blank or space, and I want my marks as 0 in case of it is NaN. So how can I do that?
You can do it the same way as we did for NA. Where was it? So NA values. So we will have to probably specify NA values.
So here we have actually changed the NA values to NaN, but now we want to change NaN to space or 0. Based on if for my subject I want to change it to space, and for marks I want to change it to 0.
Yes. So we did the similar thing over here, right?
I think we have done the opposite way. We have changed NA value to NaN.
Here it is.
We did this.
Yeah, we have done
126. 126.
All right. So let's just try to specify this way. Inside this, instead of specifying the null over here, let me first of all add one more thing over here. Let's do this. So NA values. So for marks I want to specify as 0, and if there was a subject, then store it as a NA, right? Let's try. But we have not selected the marks, so it's okay. So let me also select the marks over here. Marks. And let us see the thing over here. So what it did, no, it is just taking it as a single value and doing over here. So NA represent NA. So NA is you can specify a distance.
When we do fill NA, in that command we cannot specify the columns, or it will replace every full data frame.
What you can, I'm not sure if there is any shortcut for doing using a 2 CSV, but what you can do is once you have in a data frame, you can just replace the fill NA for that particular subject and with a different thing and use fill NA. What we mean is, let me write over there. So get a sentence for fill NA. Fill NA. So we were over here. So before storing into 5 dot this, so you do fill NA, and for marks you do 0. For marks you do 0, and for subject you do not available. And now any of this NA rep doesn't matter. So now the subject became not available, and marks is not selected. Marks will have become 0. Right? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do it this way. So I will just comment out option. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and let's see this one. Okay. So what we are doing over here is we want to read a CSV file and store the file separated by $, right? So what we mean by that is usually how is the CSV file stored? The CSV file stored is
Comma with comma.
yeah, my pen is not getting started. This pen is behaving crazy. So let's delete it. Sometime it gets some issue. Okay. So you are having a CSV file, right? And how is a CSV file stored, right? Roll number, name, subject, something like this. And 1, A, 25, 2, B, 26, whatever, English and marks, right? B, C, or whatever, something like this. You have a comma in between, right? And we want to replace it by, I mean, when we are storing it back, what we want to do is, instead of a comma, we want a dollar separator. It can be a dollar separator. In practical world, it can be a some other application wants a semicolon separator, or you want a pipe separator or whatever, right? So what we are doing is we are reading I just selected a dollar, and I mean, you can use it with something else. So we are reading a CSV file and storing as a dollar separated. So let's try to understand this code line by line, what each of these things means. So import CSV is, of course, I want some package for reading CSV and all those things. I'm not going to write those things as a code, right? I'm not going to write a CSV reader as a code. So I want to import some of the functionality from CSV. So what we are doing over here is we are just specifying how is the file structure. Okay, how is the file structure that we are reading? So line terminator is \n, meaning what? Towards the end you will see a \n, right? \n means a new line. If you are saying something on a new line, it is nothing but a \n. So we are saying that a line terminator is \n, new line. Okay. Second thing that we are saying over here is it's a delimited by a comma. So you can see that the file is a comma separated. You are having a comma. You are having this commas. So you say that you are having this commas. So you are saying that delimiter is comma. Quote character is hash, and quote is minimal. So what do you mean by quote character as hash and quote minimal? Any idea who has used a CSV file? I mean, if you're into any of the things, right, it is very sure that you will have used CSV file a lot of time. So anyone who knows what do you mean by a quote character and quote minimal?
Like the alpha fields will be stored with the double this thing quote.
Right. So what happens is now this file is a comma separated. This file is a comma separated, right? But what if the name has a comma in between? What if my name is stored as Harish, Masan? My name is stored like this, right? So what does it mean? This comma can mean that, oh, this is the next field, right? So what we do is to avoid such kind of situation wherein the comma is present in the data itself, the CSV, some of the CSV formats store the data with a double quotes. Some of the CSV format store the data with a double quotes, okay? So that this kind of a situation never arises. So this is one of the case, right? Because that comma can be present inside a data, and if a comma is present inside a data, your whole data is not readable, right? You cannot parse it because the comma is coming in between the data. So what this different CSV format try to handle is, some of the CSV file will always have a double inverted commas in every column. Like this. Every data will be in double inverted commas. Some of the CSV file will have only minimum whenever it comes across a special characters in between. If you come across a special character in between like comma and all, then only it will put a double inverted comma. So that's called as a quote minimal. Okay, so you have a different ways in which you use quoting, and there are a lot of things in how, I mean, the CSV file looks so simple, but there are so many different types of a CSV files. Okay, so this is what we discuss about the reading a CSV file, right? So the step one that we are doing is we are reading a CSV file whose line terminator is new line. It is delimited by a comma. Obviously, it is a comma separated file. It is having a quote minimal. Quote minimal meaning only use the quotes to distinguish with the word delimiter in case you find a special characters in between. Don't use the quote always. There are other formats wherein which use the quote always, which never use the quote, and so on and so forth. So that's why, since it is written code minimal, I'm explaining this. So over here we are opening a CSV file. We are opening the CSV file that we want to read, 210823 no header, right? Since I'm using a 210803, let me change this code to have 210803 everywhere. Else, if you run this code later on, then your code may fail, and then you will ask me the question in the chat. And some people are so crazy, they just give 1-star rating for this as well. So avoid doing that. So this is about 21080823 no header CSV. We are just reading this file. Open this file, and we are putting a custom reader. So this is a common piece of code. Do I need to remember this code? No. Every time if you want to read a CSV file, come to my program and copy the code from here. Okay. Can you explain me what is the difference between this dialect, right dialect, and this one and this one? Can you explain me what is the difference?
Delimiter is different.
Delimiter is different, right? Instead of using a comma delimiter, now I'm using a dollar delimiter. And what I'm doing is I'm also opening this write file. Okay, I'm also opening this write file. I'm opening in a write mode. And step number 3 is what we are doing is we are reading the file line by line. Okay, custom reader is this one. For line in custom reader, read a line, and we just simply write custom writer dot write row. Custom writer is this one. So just write row. So it will read a line. It has printed a red line. So the red line was like this. And when it writes back the line, it will be dollar separated, right? So let us run this code. So its final output was temporary 210823 to write. So let me go over here. It's not opening only. 210823. What was the file? To write.csv. To write.csv. So 210823 to write.csv. The one that we are storing is over here. That I just opened from here. And it is not able to show the data, right? Because I stored it as a CSV file. So it is trying to read a CSV file, and it's saying that how can a CSV file have a something crazy stuff, how it is having a dollar. So I just run this again, and oh, it is opening now. Then why it was not opening a while back? It's just opening with the CSV as well, but it was not opening a while back. Meanwhile, I have also stored as a text file. It's not opening this one. Never mind. So to write.csv, you can see that everything is now a dollar separated instead of a comma separated. So this is not a use case, right? But you should know that if you come across some crazy comma separated value files, you should be able to read that file row by row. If there is something crazy that is happening in between, okay, something crazy is happening in between, you should be able to remove those crazy things over here, and you should be able to store that file again, right? So it is possible that someone gives you a CSV file that is having a lot of junk data, and you cannot simply really play with Pandas. Then you should be able to just read the entire CSV file line by line and do whatever you want to and store it back. Okay, any questions so far? If not, can anyone say what are we doing over here? can you say what are we doing over here?
Again, copying these three CSVs and two CSVs and one text file
We are
into
just copying this some CSV and text file into my drive, right?
content
So
drive.
I'm storing from here into my drive that is mounted over here. Do I need to write this code again and again every time?
No, right? If there's no change.
If I have just written it above, you don't have to write this 2 lines of a code. It's still, I have just copied it everywhere. Okay, so it will just copy this from there to the Google Drive, right? Google Drive meaning whatever is mounted over here inside Drive, My Drive, Notebook Data, Pandas, and it will copy over here. Or else you can just go into this googledrive.com and also see that there should be some temporary files that will be copied. temp 210823 whatever 3 files we studied will be copied over here. Okay, what is this doing?
Name the columns.
It will give all the column names, roll number, name, standard, subject. What is this doing?
Select only these columns and don't copy index.
So we are storing into a CSV file again. The name of the CSV file we are storing is selected columns. We are saying that I don't want to store the index. We are saying that these are the columns we want to store, right? And we have seen this so many times and we just move it. This one we are just copying it from this particular file over here that will be present over here. The file that will be present over here, right? Refresh. Temporary TMP 190910 selected column. This one 190910 selected column, and I'm copying it somewhere. This again, this my date is 190910. Where I save this 190910, right? 190910. And 190910 means I also taught this thing 2 years back. Then I just did not upload it anywhere. So the date is old. You can keep anything. I usually keep with the date so that later on I know it is unnecessary file and temporary file. I just delete it. Okay. Any questions so far? Anyone? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take a short break.
Harish, how do we modify the CSV? Like we have just read the CSV, right? And then line by line. Then for one particular line, if I want to put some condition to read, okay, this text exists in this line, and then want to modify something, how do I do that? Can I do those operations directly?
You can write the code over here, right? You read one by one line, right? And before you write, before you actually write, you can modify the content something. Line is equal to line plus, let's say for every line you want to add some comma, 0, or whatever you want to do. You can just play with this line.
But
You
I
write the
have
code over here.
I have read that full line, right? But in that line will have that line is further separated by comma. So I want to like search for some word or something in that particular line. How?
You can use regex,
How?
right? We just discuss on a high level regex. So let's say you're
Okay.
having some line like this, and let's say you want to just find Mike and replace it with XYZ. So you can use a regular expression to replace it. So basically, this is the place you have to do, and basically just explore more how to use the
Okay.
regex to replace.
Okay.
So what you can do is print type of line. How is this coming? What is the data type of this particular line? It is a list, right? So let's say it is storing as a list. So let's say I want to change the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. fifth position. So let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is coming in the fifth position? Fifth position is coming as 65, right? So what I can do? I can say that if line at fifth position, and is equal to 32, let's say is equal to 32, right? Then line at fifth position is change it to 35. All right, so this is the piece of a code. Then let me see what is happening over here. Let's see what is the contents of line before and what is the content of line after. There is no need for doing a line over here. So why did not change to 35? If line is equal to 32.2, then you have not changed. Why? Print line of y. Is it probably taking as a data type is string? Okay, so we have changed it to line number and this one as 35, right? So what this code will do? I don't need this unnecessary printing. Okay, so and I will say that requirement is also changed. Also, if marks is 32.0, store marks as 35.2. If I execute this and if I want to see to write CSV, this one was the file. So you can see that the marks is changed to 35, right? Is it clear?
Yes, Harish.
Okay, so you play with it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we'll take a short break. The time is 11:17. The time is 11. The time is 11:17. Take a break of 8 minutes from now. We'll start back at 11:25 a.m. If you're at a different time zone, I will catch again in 8 minutes. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and what we are doing over here in the next part is to read an Excel. So you can see that we want to read an Excel whose name is student_marks.xlsx. This is present in a drive, my drive, notebook data pandas student_marks.xlsx. So let me see that student_marks.xlsx. It is over here, student_marks.xlsx. So this is the data, the same data. that is present and that we discussed a while back, but it's stored as an Excel format, the newer Excel format, XLSX1. So we are just copying that particular Excel file from this particular location in a Google Drive into the local directory, and we are reading the sheet number 1. We are reading the sheet number 1. We are having the sheet 1. We are just reading the sheet 1 and we get this particular data. So nothing to explain over here. Okay. Can anyone explain what we are doing over here? So if you see over here, we are also reading an Excel file. And while reading this Excel file, I am reading only the sheet 1, and we are specifying 2 converters. We are specifying 2 different converters. What is the first converter doing is, for a subject, it is calling this particular converter, convert subject cell. It is calling this function. For a marks, it is calling this particular function, right? So if I see a subject 1, what it does is, if it comes across this NA, if it comes across NA, example, it comes across this NA, it changes the NA to extra subject. It changes the NA to extra subject. Similarly, can you tell me what this is doing for a marks 1?
It is not available, meaning nothing is there, then it will make it 35.
So if you come across not available on NA, it is going to make it as a 35. So you can see that 35 and 35. So this way you can also write your custom code. Let's go ahead, and can anyone say what is this doing?
Another tab, students.
So it is going to
right
store into an Excel file to Excel. The name of the Excel file is this one, and we want to write into a student sheet, and we are saying that I don't want to store an index, false. And finally, I'm copying it to a Google Drive as well. So I'm copying into a Google Drive as well, temporary 210823. 210823 student marks. What was the name? Temporary 28. Oh, not this one. Temporary 210823.xlsx. So it is stored over here, and the name of the sheet is students, right? So this is how you can store into an Excel file. Pandas has a limited support. If you want to work on a lot of Excel things, there are different libraries in Python that are available for working on Excel. Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and let's talk about this one. So can anyone explain what are we doing over here?
Creating a data frame.
Creating a data frame. What are the columns of the data frame?
Number, name, and STD.
Roll number, name, and standard. Over here, what are the different columns?
Same column, right? I mean,
Roll number, standard, and marks. Over here was a name.
okay, is a name
Over here
there.
is a marks. So we are making two different data frames, data frame student and data frame marks. Student data frame is having roll number, name, and standard. Marks is having roll number, standard, and marks. And we just created these two data frame, and we are finally storing this particular data frame. I did not execute this one. So we made this, and we finally store it into an Excel. Temporary 210823 stored marks. It is having two different sheets. One for DF stud data frame. The sheet name is stud. DF marks data frame, sheet name is marks, and we are also copying into Google Drive. So basically, I am just creating two different data frames and just storing into a Google Drive with two different sheets. You can see a first sheet as stud, student, and another sheet as marks. I did not say index as false, so it also stored the index. It also stored the index. So you can read and write into an Excel, you can write into a multiple Excel, and if you want to do more on Excel, then use some Excel libraries that are available in Python. Let's go to the next thing that is very important thing, feature engineering. Handling the missing data is one of the part of the feature engineering. That is, if there is a missing data, then what you will do? The missing data can be for different reasons. Maybe it was a column in which the user did not enter the data because simply it was a not mandatory field. And what will user do? Some user will enter the data, some user will just skip it to save time. So how to handle this kind of a missing data? Or missing data can be because of system issues also. Or missing data can be simply because that data was simply not available for some reasons. So you have to handle the missing data, right? So we'll see what are the different things that we do for handling a missing data. Just give me a minute, I will just grab some water. Okay, so let's start with this weather data.csv. So let us see what is there in this weather data.csv. It is having weather of some days, 1st of January 2017, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of January 2017. You are having some temperature, wind speed, and event, and you can see that there are a lot of missing data. A lot of missing data. We are going to see what different things we can do for a missing data. So I just copy this from a Google Drive into my VM, and you see this is my data that we have. This is the data that we have over here. So I've read this CSV file, and when you read this particular CSV file, pandas.read this particular CSV file, df.day. .day means this column. 0 meaning the first one. So if you just read a CSV file, this particular column that you have, for a day, it is showing you of the type string. If you read this particular CSV file, it's showing you of the type string. But we know that this is actually a day, right? This is dates. What we are having some dates. So what we can do is we can specify that this particular column day is actually the dates, right? So if you specify at the time of reading a CSV file that this particular column is actually a date, then what it will do is it will, instead of taking it as a string, it will take it as a timestamp. Yes, so the data type will be a pandas libs tslib. Tslib is time series library, timestamp.timestamp. So it's again important, right? Whenever you're reading a CSV file, you will have to manually specify that, okay, this is a date. This particular column has all the dates, and you should specify the data type as timestamp.
So meaning it will just change the format, right? It's more of a.
It will just
Date
assign that
format,
particular
right?
data type so that you can do some operation, right? +1, +2. So if you do a +1 on a string, it will work. It will not work, right? So if you don't write this, it will be of the type string. But if you write this, then it will be of the type timestamp. Right? Format is different, as well as there are certain operations that you can do on a date, right? You can add some number of days. You can add 5 days. You can add 5 months. You can add 5 years. If it was a string, you cannot do that. You will have to convert it into a timestamp so that you are able to do the operations that you can do on a date and time. So just remember.
And one more thing, like in one of the example, like marks was considered as a string, right?
Right, above. Yes.
Above, right? What was that actually? Why it was like that? Just like by default, it
Yeah,
considers
by
a string.
default, it just takes everything as string.
Okay.
So
Even this like temperature will be string in this case.
yes, everything will be string. Everything will be string.
Okay.
So if you want to see the data type of temperature. No, it is taking as float 64. The above was taking as a
There was no
above was
decimal
taking as a string
because of that, is it?
This over here we are using the pandas method, right? So pandas read CSV. It is able to find whether it is a number or not. So it is definitely taking float 64. The above one was you were using a CSV library. So that was not able to interpret.
Okay, correct.
The code that we wrote above was
read CSV.
Read CSV.
Okay.
Read CSV. So it was not able to interpret. So okay, but even the pandas one is not able to understand for the date specifically. So for a dates you have to specify manually, but other things it understands. So what are we doing over here? What are we doing over here?
We are changing the index today.
We're changing the index, right? Previously the index was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're changing the index to the day, 0, whatever is the dates, right? And it is also of the time series dot timestamp. So it is of the timestamp. So that it makes sense. Now you can do a time series on top of it as well. Okay. So what will this reset index do?
It will change to internal index.
Yeah, so it will change it to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so if you do reset index, it changes to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, we are changing it back to the day. Okay. So new df is equal to df dot fill na 0. So what it will do?
Wherever NaN, it will fill it with zeros.
So you can see this NaN over here, it is filled with 0. You can see NaN over here, it is filled with 0. NaN 0. So wherever you see NaN, even in the string over here, wherever you see Na, it will change it to 0. Okay, what will this do? Any difference between above and this one?
Same.
Any difference between fill Na and replace?
No, it will do the same thing. Yeah.
It's doing the same thing, just that we are specifying that replace NaN with 0, right? But over here, I can also say that replace 32 with 0.
Oh, yeah.
So fill Na is only going to replace Na values with something. Replace can replace any value, whatever you want, with something else. Okay. So can you tell me what will this do?
It will replace sunny, cloudy with no rain.
So anytime it come across sunny or cloudy, it is going to replace with no rain. So wherever it come across sunny and cloudy, it replace with no rain. What will this do?
It will replace sunny with hot, cloudy with cold.
So sunny is replaced with hot, cloudy is replaced with cold. So replace sunny with hot, cloudy with cold. What will this do?
Same thing, but different way.
Same thing, different way. This is more readable as compared to this one.
Yes, yes.
You can use this one if you want. Okay, what will this do?
Wherever NA, it will call a mean function.
Whenever there was NA, like there was a NA, it is populating the mean of the other values, 33.2. What do you mean by mean?
Average.
Average.
Okay, over here also NaN, it's replaced by 8.4, 8.4, 8.4, 8.4.
But in case of string, it will not do anything.
Yeah, in case of string, it will not do anything. Okay, what will this do?
In temperature column, it will replace 0. Wind speed also 0, and event it will replace with no event in case of NN.
So if you see NaN in temperature, it is going to change with 0. So you can see this 0. For wind speed, if you see NA, it will replace with 0. For event, if you see NA, it will replace with no M. Okay. So what will this do?
Method F. I mean, we can see the comment. It says forward fill. Same
So
as
what
previous
did it
value.
do for this NaN value?
Should be 32.
32. Why? Because it took 32 forward fill.
Because it's like
So this 32 came over here. So you can see that 32. What will come for this NaN?
9.
9.0.
From the above value, right? 9 will come over here. So you can see this NaN got 9. What will come for this NaN?
28.
28. Above value is 28, right? So you got 28. Okay, what will come for this NaN?
Same. 32.
32. Because this NaN got the above value 32. Again, this NaN will get the value 32, right? So it's a forward fill. I mean, whatever is the above value will come. Similarly, what will this B fill do? Okay, no, this F fill limit 1. So what will this F fill limit
For
1?
once, is it?
So what will be the value for this one? F fill limit
32.
1. 32. This one.
Yeah. 28.
This one.
32.
This one.
As it is. I think it will keep as it is.
So it's not replaced because you are saying that limit 1. So you can see that only limit 1. It will only go 1, limit 1. All right. So what will happen to this one?
This will be 7.
7. So
Then
you can see
NA.
that 7. And how about these two?
NA.
Right, because forward fill only to the limit 1. Okay, what will this B fill do? What will come for this particular value? B fill, what will this get?
28.
Sorry?
28.
What will this get?
34.
34.
If it is not 1, then 34.
Yes. So 34, right? You can see that 34, right? So backfill. So this NaN will get the data from the back 28. Right. F fill access column. F fill access 1. Access 1. So now what we were doing till now was access 0 like this. It takes this is so slow. It's also so this 32, right? We're doing till now like this. That was for access 0 by default, right? Now we are specifying as access 1 or columns access like this. So what will this do? This will do this side, right? So what will come for this NAN?
28.
It will come as 28. Why?
In temperature, there is a 28 that will move to here.
Temperature is 20, so it will come over. What will come for this NAN?
32.
32 will come, right? So you are doing this side, access wise, forward fill. What will come for this one?
7.
How 7?
Because NAN is there in event also, then wind speed is only having 7. So that's 7.
It's
will be
forward
here.
fill, right? Forward fill is this way. It's not a backward fill.
It will take a day also because day
It will
is
not
an index,
take
right?
day is an index.
Okay.
The first one itself, okay, if you were doing as per the previous also, first one was NAN, then it would have left NAN. This one will left NAN. It won't do anything. Okay, so you can see that this one is NAN.
Okay.
Because it cannot come anywhere, right? There is no other column. There is no
Okay.
other column. It cannot come. It cannot come. But this NAN can get the value this 32. So it got the value 32. Right? Any questions in this? F will access column. Access column, you won't use it. Okay. What will this do? Can you tell me what will be the value for this? This browser is so slow today. What will be the value for this one?
9.
Backfill, right? 9. Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. What will be the value for this one?
NAN.
NAN. Why?
Because the back value is also NAN.
Okay. What will the value for this one?
Sunny.
Sunny, right? Because the limit is 1, right? Sunny will come till here, but it won't come here.
Yeah.
It won't come here because limit is 1. So this is what we discuss. Then is interpolate. What will interpolate do? So what does interpolate does is it uses some function to find different values, right? It uses some function to find the different values. And if you don't specify anything, it will take this linear method. If you don't specify anything in this interpolate, it's going to take this linear method. It's going to take this as a linear method. So what this linear method is going to do is it is going to take the average of the next two columns. Like this is the NAN, right? It will take this average of 32 and 28. What is the average of 32 and 28? What is the average of 32 and 28?
30.
30,
30.
right? So you can see this 30 over here, right? Okay. So can you tell me what will come for this one? This NAN, what will come for this NAN? What will come for this NAN?
Average of 7 and 9.
9 and
That
7,
is
right? What is the average?
8.
8, right? So you can see this 8, right? So if you don't specify anything, it takes a linear function Linear function is just simply an average of the previous and the next column. Again, it won't do anything for the event because that's not a number. There is another method called as a interpolate with time. So it uses the time series analysis, and instead of having 32 and 28 over here, it will show you 29. Why it shows 29? Can you explain me why it is showing 29? Instead of 30 over here, previous example was 30, right? That was a linear, just an average of 32 and 28. Now I specify method as time. So why it shows 29, why not 30?
Maybe it is considering day wise. 1,
It's
2,
considering
3,
day
4,
wise, right?
5.
So
Yeah, 2 and 3 is missing in the day.
it is just like a time series, right? So yes, your answer is correct. So it's something like this, a time series. So the first one was 32, right? And the fourth one was 20.
29.
The fourth one was missing.
28.
Fifth one was 28, right?
Yeah.
So something like this, right? So here would have been second and third. So this one would have been 31. This would have been 30, and this one would have been 29, right? So it comes as a 29. Comes as a time series way. So if you must specify the method as time, it will give you a time series. So it will make a line out of it as per the time and join and find. Okay. So these kind of things are required, right? Back NA, forward NA, and so on, especially in time series kind of a things. Okay. So what is this going to do? Drop NA.
It will drop all the NaN values.
So what it will do is it is going to drop all the rows wherever it finds NA values, right? It is going to drop all the rows wherever it finds NA values. So over here it finds NA value. This is a NA value, so this particular row will be dropped. This is a NA value, this row will be dropped. This is a NA value, just drop. Anywhere it shows. So only this row will come, this row will come, and this row will come, right? So if it come across any NA values in any of the columns in that particular row, okay, all these rows will be dropped. Just drop all the rows. Okay, let's go ahead. So can anyone say what will this do? Drop NA, how all? Can you say what will this do? Drop NA, how all?
All, if every row, I mean, all columns have NaN, then drop, is it?
Yeah. So if all has NA, then drop. So which row will be dropped?
The third last.
The what date?
09/01/2017.
Okay, so this one will be dropped, right?
Yeah, correct.
All are NA. All are NA.
I mean, Harish, one question, like all these commands, do we have like one dictionary kind of thing somewhere where we have all the commands somewhere?
You use this Pandas notebook that I give. This is your dictionary.
Okay.
Everything. I mean, you can just find Pandas cheat sheet and all those things and keep it handy. But again, cheat sheets are, you use this one. I mean, for next 1 or 2 months, daily read this sheet one time. You will remember it.
Yeah, correct.
This notebook, I have covered almost everything that is possible for a data science, or you will use it. There is nothing that I have left. So I mean, I like to cover in depth. That's why I brand everything as in depth. So use this as while you're working as a reference notebook with you. If you want to do anything, come over here. And of course, you have a Google. You can go to Stack Overflow and get a sample code of everything. In fact, some of the things when I make these notes, and if I refer to mostly to the documentation of Pandas while making these notes, then sometimes I don't like the example, or the example is difficult to follow on the Pandas documentation. Then I just go to Stack Overflow and find the simpler example and put over here. So first go to Pandas documentation if you want anything. If it is clear, go from there only, or else Stack Overflow. So many people contribute day in and day out. And Stack Overflow has very good examples for each and every task that you may want to achieve anytime. Okay, drop NA threshold 3. So what it does is it only keeps the row, keep only rows where at least 3 non-NA values. Keep only rows where there are at least 3 non-NA values. So can you see at least 3 non-NA values over here?
Yeah.
You should have at least 3 values. Can you see at least 3 values over here? These are the 4
Yes,
columns.
yes.
Day,
Yes.
temperature, wind speed. Can you see at least 3 values?
Yes.
So this will remain. You can see it as there. Can you see at least 3 NA value, 3 values? Can you see at least 3 values?
Yes.
Yes.
It will be there. Can you see at least 3 values?
Yes.
Can you see at least 3 values?
No.
You can see only 2 values, right? This one is a little bit confusing. So this is draw. Can you see at least 3
Yes.
values? At
No.
least 3 values? So draw. At least 3 values?
No.
So draw.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So just
Three.
try to remember, keep only rows with at least 3 non-NA values. Let's close this. So over here, we were dropping the rows. We were dropping some of the rows. But at the same time, we will also may need to drop some columns, right? We may have to drop some columns. So can anyone explain what is this doing? Drop NA excess 1.
Drop the columns having NA.
Drop the columns even if you see a single NA. So can you see a single NA? Yes. Can you see a single NA? Yes. Can you see a single NA? Yes. So if you find any NA anywhere in the column, axis 1 means column. So just drop that column. So you have only this left, right? So what it will do is, if you see any NA in any of the columns, just drop it. Okay, let's go to the next one. So can you tell me what this does?
Meaning if all the entire column has NA, then drop.
The entire column. So this entire column doesn't have NA. This entire column doesn't have NA. None of this don't have NA. This also don't have. This also don't have. Right? This also don't have all NAs. This also don't have all NAs. This also don't have all NAs. So nothing is dropped. Right? How on? Perfect. So if you are able to understand, it's good. If you're able to just read the code and understand, it's the best thing. You're at stage number 2. Okay, so what we are doing over here, we were having this particular data frame. So what we are doing is we are making a date range from 1 until 11th of January 2017. And what we do is this data frame we re-index with this particular date range. So if you see, there was some data missing for 1st and 4th. There was some data missing for 1st and 4th, right? So there was some data that was missing for 1st and 4th. Then what you did was, sorry, second and third, between first and fourth, there was some data that was missing. So you just add these 2 days as well, right? So I just add these 2 dates as well by just creating a date range out of it and just re-indexing the data frame using that particular date range. Okay, what are we doing over here? Re-index, and we are specifying one more thing. What does it mean?
Instead of NaN, fill value 0.
Fill value 0, right? Okay. Can you tell me something? A real world application, right? So something like this. So you're having this stock market price, right? Let's say we have a price for 9th of September 2021, that is Thursday. 10th September, that is Friday. 11th and 12th September, I don't have. And then I have 13th September price, stock market price. So maybe the share of Reliance was 2,500 over here. Then closing rate on 9th of September for a Reliance share was 2,500. For Reliance was 2,400, let's say on 10th. Then on 13th, it goes to 2,600 at the end of day. So what will be the share price at the end of day on Saturday and Sunday? I don't have a share price, right? But somehow to make a time series, I want this, right? So what will I do for Saturday?
So we'll use the previous day closing price.
Use the previous day closing price, right? Something like this, right? Use a previous day closing price. So previous day closing price, meaning what will be the method?
But back forward fill.
Forward fill, right? So you see the application of forward fill. If you are playing with the stock market price and you want to do some calculation without considering the weekends and whatever. So you'll use a forward fill. Okay, over here we just took a 0, or maybe you could have took a forward fill or whatever. That doesn't matter. So over here is the example of a forward fill, right? We are using a method as forward fill. Or when doing a reindex, you're doing a forward fill over here. Over here, what you're doing nothing, right? Just reindexing, not doing anything, just preparing the data maybe for the next instruction. Okay, what are we doing over here? Can anyone tell what we are doing over here?
Converting title into string, is it?
Yeah, converting something. Yeah, no, converting title into string. What do you mean by that?
Column string dot title.
Just see the column names and you can find out. So you are not into the stage 2. Now go to one stage back, stage 1. So stage 1, what is a stage 1? By looking into the code and output, you should be able to understand. Stage 1 of learning, stage 2 of learning, stage 3 of learning. Write code yourself. Given a functionality, what you want to do, write yourself. Look at code and output and understand. Look code and guess output. So looking at the code, you couldn't guess the output. Okay. Of course, we are not doing this. Write code yourself, we are not doing. Later on, when you get 1 year into working, then you will be able to do that. Forget about it. Look code and guess output, or look code and output and understand. Look code and guess output, you couldn't guess out. So you're not into stage 2. Go back to stage 1. Look the code, look the output, and look the previous output. What is the difference?
The title has been changed, like everything has been capitalized. The formatting.
The first letter is capitalized, right? Temperature and T. Wind speed, right? It's okay. I mean, this you are looking for the first time. So always, you will never be into a stage 2. You haven't seen something similar to it. It's okay. Good to be at stage 1 as well. No worries. But you should be at least at the stage 1 and grow gradually to the stage 2 before And I mean, every time we end the session, you should be at the stage 2.
So in this case, we can't use this case or something like uppercase, lowercase.
You can use str. You can use the uppercase, right? You can use upper.
Okay.
Also.
Sentence
We
case.
don't want to do upper. We just want to make a title.
Meaning, see, except like this became like, the first letter became the, capital. Anything else happens apart from that?
Most of the time, you will like to do this only when you want to present something to the
Okay.
someone, business stakeholder. The first
And
letter
when we
is
access
capital.
this column, it is like case sensitive, like in
Yeah.
somewhere okay.
Yes, it should be case sensitive. Yes, I mean, if not, then there should be some way to turn on and turn off. In Pandas in particular, I don't really recall, but it should be case sensitive, and there should be some way to also,
Everything.
um, let's say, I mean, turn off the case sensitivity for the column. So if you specify df and I refer to temperature, so it will work.
Spelling.
So it works. But if you make it all capital, it will not work. So it's a case sensitive. And there should be some way definitely to turn off in Pandas as well. Google, then Pandas turn off case sensitive column name. No need to write column name. Pandas turn off case sensitive. Case insensitive. How to ignore the case sensitive while checking on string, not string. Let's write Pandas column name. Refer to a column name case insensitive. Case sensitive. What it has done, he's let's discuss this later on. Let's see if I can find. So he is having a data frame with this columns. And what he's doing, he is converting everything to lower. It appears case holding is not so wrong. So what this guy is doing is, let's say, I mean, I don't think so there is some way to turn off the case sensitive in Pandas. But some of the libraries do support turning off the case sensitive or making it case insensitive. Like Spark, you can do that. In Spark SQL, you can do that, and so on. So what you can do over here is just convert every column to a lowercase at the first go. If your entire data is stupid, then you can just convert everything to this by this one or by using this one. But Pandas is case sensitive too. Again, over here also he's doing the same thing. He's over here, he's not doing the same thing. Over here, he is this column data is converting into a lower and putting over here. Over here, he is converting the data contents into a lower. And over here, what he is doing is df.columns. Okay, he is just changing the column names into lower, like what we did. So if you come across a place where you have some stupid names, then what you can do is you can convert all the columns to lowercase, right? So note, if you come across some tables in SQL, etc., where in column names are not uniform or not uniform, right? Example, you have all a mix of example column name, some column name is uppercase and some lowercase. Then use below. Right? You can use this, and I just write a reference to it so that you can use this. So note 2, if you want to change the data of entire columns. When I say data, I mean values. Above was the column names, values. Use below. Another beautiful thing is when you Google off, you also see two different things that you are not thinking of. Reference is this. And so like why he had to do, because he had one table in which it was some other case and there was another table that was having another case. And when he wanted to do a join on the country name, it was not working fine, right? Because it was having some other different cases, right? So I'm struggling with the easiest way to do a case insensitive merge in Pandas. Is there a way to do a write on that merge? Do I need to use this? So, right, he has given this. So what you can do is, as you face certain problem, right, to solve that problem, and you also post that answer in the Stack Overflow. Recently, if I'm doing, I was not doing until now, in fact, myself as well. Recently, I do post on some of the answers on deep learning on Stack Overflow specifically, or if I'm making something like this, so that because the deep learning answers are not easily available if you're stuck into something deep learning and neural network. Pandas and all this is still stable, but you still put something on a Stack Overflow, because if you don't put, then let's say you want to upvote it, you have to be login. And if you want to upvote, you should have at least 15 reputation. That means some other person should have upvoted your answer. If you want to downvote something, then you need a 125 reputation. How to build the reputation? To build a reputation, you post the answers. You can also post the good questions that are not asked. Don't post the questions that are asked. So either post the answer and someone will upvote and you will get some points. So we are debating the Stack Overflow. So this is about it. Any questions so far? Okay, let's look into this. So what we are doing over here is, this was the days. This was the days. This was my index. And what I want to do is, instead of having this particular entire date, I only want this day 01, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, and so on and so forth. I only want this. So what I can do is, I mean, there is no direct way of doing this. So what we are doing over here is, since it is in the form of a string, I'm just copying this particular data frame into this and printing this, and basically using this particular function on top of it. And what this function does, it gets the date, converts the date into a string, and then I take 8 until 10, meaning 8 and 9, meaning only this two, and I apply it to this thing, right? So as to get whatever I want, right? I mean, only the day part. If I want a month part, what will I do? If I want a month part, what shall I do? If I want a month part.
So this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this will be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This will be 5.
6.
Then this will be
7.
8, 8,
8.
7, 8, 8.
5 and 6, right? So 7, right?
Oh, 5 and 6, that's correct.
Okay.
It doesn't work. Why?
It should be 6, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0.
Oh, yeah. You tell me. It's crazy. You tell me why. So by mistake did not write df.copy. I already spoiled the value in the DF. I need to get the DF first. Where is my DF? Where did we make DF? So over here we made the DF weather data. Okay. This one we were doing, right? So df.copy, if you don't write df.copy, then give you a problem, right? So df.copy is this one. I made something over here and this index, right? I have to also do a set index because where is a set index? Set underscore index. Where did I run set index? Set index day. No, not this one. Weather data, this one, right? Set index. I also execute this one. Okay, so this one is done, right? Is it clear? Any questions in this?
Harish, what's the difference between that map and apply we are using earlier?
We will discuss it down, apply and map. We have covered it down. One happens for the entire data frame, apply, and the map happens element by element wise. We'll see it down with an example. So 8 to 10 is this one. Okay. Then let's see and tell me what this will do. What will this do? Look at the code, look at the output, tell at least what is this doing, or first try to look at the code itself and try to say what it should do. If you're not able to understand, then look into the.
We'll replace the index 09 with NaN.
Replace the 09 with NaN, right? You can see that 09 is replaced by NaN. In place is equal to true, meaning it will going to modify
change
this
the
particular data frame itself.
Data frame, yes.
If I don't do this, then it won't change the data frame. It will just output the data frame like this. Then you will have to, okay, if I don't have to write this, I mean, we have discussed it before, but let's still discuss. If I don't want to write this and still want to do, then how to do? Will be like this, right?
Assign true again.
Something like this, right?
Yes.
Assign.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's discuss this. So handling the duplicates, again, handling the duplicates is also one of the things that it can be a good interview question, but somehow this data analytics and machine learning is, I mean, the people who are there into this are also not that good, and there is not that good a questions they ask. I mean, you cannot judge by someone by asking a stupid question on a data science interview saying that there will be how many number of bulbs in a particular city, let's say in Singapore, right? So these are stupid questions that people do ask in a data science interview. and I'm talking about good companies, that doesn't make much meaning. And it's just that they want to check how well you are doing a reasoning. So how many bulbs are there, let's say in Singapore? And someone will, while asking, the interviewer will only say that take a pen and paper and just calculate number of bulbs in Singapore. And if you start calculating, the next person will say that you are rejected. Because I mean, the interviews are like that. If you want to reject someone, you can reject with 10 different reasons. And it's not just I'm not blaming. I mean, sometimes the interviewer can be biased as well. And how the interviewer get biased is how you are writing your resume as well. If you're writing one stupid thing in a resume that doesn't make sense, and interviewer happens to read that one stupid thing, then he may think that, okay, this candidate is stupid, even though you have written 10 good things. So it's also about how good is the day and so on and so forth. So if you come across such kind of a question, always do reasoning. Why you want to know that? Can I call the bulb company and ask how much is their sale every year? Something like that, instead of calculating it. So I just came to this question because of this duplicate, right? Sometimes you have happen to get a duplicate data, and how to handle a duplicate data in SQL is a very common question that someone asks in a SQL interview. Or if you're going for a backend interviews, how to handle a duplicate rows, how to handle a duplicate data. But no one asks for a feature engineering, how do you delete a duplicated data? So how do you delete a duplicate data, right, in over here? So if you see this particular duplicate data frame that you are preparing over here, you are having a first column that is having a data ABC, A, B, B, C, D, D. And you are having this value as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So this is your data, right? And if I want to check if you are having something duplicate or not, if you see over here, these two are duplicate data. Other things are not duplicate. D5, D5. So when it came for the first time, when you run this particular thing duplicated, if you run for first time, if you run for the first time, D5, it will be false because it's still not duplicated. And if it is going for the next row, it will say true because these two are duplicated. D5 and D5 is duplicated. The other things is not duplicated. So how do you handle a duplicate? Using duplicated, or you can directly use a drop duplicate. So you can see that this particular D5 is missing. So if I use this particular function drop duplicate, D5 is missing. Okay. Over here, the similar thing, we are doing a drop duplicate, but we are checking only for column 1. Don't look into column 2, only look into column 1. So can you say what will be dropped? Only looking at column 1. Which index will be dropped?
Index 2 and index 5.
Index 2, because this B is duplicate. B came second time, D came again second time. So this B and D will be dropped because we are only looking into column 1. Perfect. Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between this one now? Keep last, the same as previous. What will be different?
Instead of taking first value, it will take the second value.
It
Meaning
will
last
take the second value, right?
second
So it was
duplication.
very sure that you had to drop one of the B's. You drop the second B over here. But when you specify a last, you keep the last value. You kept this B, but you dropped the B at the index 1. Similarly, this 2D, which will be dropped and which will be kept? If I say last,
Index
4 will be
will be
dropped,
5 will be kept.
5 will be kept because we are keeping a last, right? And we are checking only for column 1. Perfect. So drop duplicate is one of the thing. Again, this thing, I will like if you can answer me, I can give hints. So let's look into this. It's taking a while for pen to load. Okay. This one. So what is this doing? Anyone?
Random number of normal distribution.
It's generating 30 random numbers, right? Perfect. So there are two different functions called as a cut and qcut. So when I do a cut, it will make into 5 different parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. And when I do a qcut and specify this 5, it is going to still make the 5 different parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So below is this qcut. 5 is this one, a qcut. So if you look into a cut and qcut, you just look into these two circles I have drawn. Look into a cut and qcut. Can you see and tell me what is the difference between cut and qcut looking into this two?
In qcut, the values are 666 exactly.
Mhm.
Whereas in the normal cut, it is like 1, 2, 6, and not some random values like.
So one of the things that you see is you're taking a value count. So you're
Yeah.
saying is over here and over here in the you are having 30 numbers. You made a 30 total random numbers. And
Yeah.
when you did a qcut, each of the bin, this is called as a bin. This is called as a bin. You have a range that's called as a bin. Each bin is having 6 numbers, right? Equal bin, equal
Equal bin.
size bin, equal sized bin, right? But over here, the it is having not equal size bin, right? It's not a equal size bin. So this is one thing. So what you can see is when you are doing a cut, it is going to make not a equal sized bin, but when you use a qcut, it is going to make a equal size bin. What else?
And even the range is also not same.
Range is not same, right? So over here, what it is doing is minus 2.932 to whatever value 1.504. The size is same. 2.9 to 2.0, meaning approximately 0.8. Again, 2.041. If you see the, if I start the calculator and share the entire screen. So if you see for this particular first bin, 2.932 minus 2.041. It's a 0.891, right? The first bin size. The second bin size 2.041 minus 1.155, the same 0.886, almost equal. 1.155 minus 0.268, almost equal 0.888. So
I didn't get how the cut has different value than the random numbers. So how is it that? I mean, when we said factors comma 5, what happened?
Right. So we are still discussing. So the first thing that we discussed over here was, I just closed this pen by mistake. So first thing that we discussed over here was, the first thing that we discussed was there are 30 numbers we make.
Correct.
Second thing we discussed was for cut or qcut, we are making 5 different bins.
Correct.
5 bins and 5 bins. When we are using qcut, it is selecting this in such a way, it is making a bin of such a size that every bin gets 6 numbers. 6, total 30 numbers. And when we are using a cut, it is making a bin in such a way that each bin of same size. I mean, this is point from
So
here
bin
to
meaning is like a range or
range only, right?
or these are two random numbers.
No, it's a range, right? If you see the maximum number that is present over here, should be something 2.9, 2.92, something like this. This is a maximum number. So it comes in this particular range. Only
Okay,
one
so
number over here.
okay, dividing into range, basically 5 range,
Correct.
5 bins.
Right. So we are just making into a range, right? Okay, let's, I think so this example is little bit difficult to follow. When you generate a random numbers, what we can do is we can just comment this part and better make a simple numbers. So let's say give me 30 numbers between -20 and 20.
Maybe -20,
-20,
-18.
-18.
I mean, it will be too much.
Let's do Google
Some copy.
random number generator. Okay, number generator minimum I keep -30 and maximum I keep 30. Or what we were talking -20, right? -20, 20. And can I also give how many numbers? Okay. Oh my god, I want a list. So -8, 7. But this is just giving one number. Free service. Minimum is -20, maximum is 20. Generate. It's also giving only one number. Random number generator. Lower limit -20. -20. Generate. Gives one number. Comprehensive version. Okay, -20, 20. Generate one. Generate how many? 30 numbers. Wanted a list of 30. We want allow duplicate. Yes. I wanted integer. Show the result in a descending order. Yeah. Could have also given me as a list directly. Now I have to put commas myself. Notepad. Comma. Delete. Delete. Eight, 7, 7, 6, 3, -1, -2, -3 2 times, then -4 one time, then -5 one time, -7 one time, -8 one time, -12 one time, -14 one time, -14 one time, -15, -17, 17, -19. Okay, let's do with this number instead of one. So one number got extra, it seems. Let me remove one number. Okay, so you had these numbers that were 30 random numbers. Okay, we generated 30 random numbers. We have printed all those 30 numbers. When we make a cut out of it, what it does is it tries to make the bins. Okay, bins is nothing but a range of numbers between -17 to -6. -9.6. Then another range is between -9.6 to -2.2. That is this particular range. There is another range is -2.2 to 5.2. Is 5.2? Where is -2.2 to 5.2? Somewhere here. Something like this, right? So this is the range. So what you do is whenever you use a cut, again, it is going to make a 5 different buckets or 5 different bins or 5 different ranges, right? Whatever you call. Over here also it is making a 5. But when you use a Q cut, it makes the bins in such a way, such that each bin is having the same numbers, equal numbers, 6, 6, 6, 6. But when you use a cut, it is making in such a way that size of each bin is same. Okay, so if I see the size of this particular bin, the first bin is minus 17.037, then minus 17.037 minus 9.6, 7.437. The first bin is of size 7.4. Check for the second bin, 9.6 minus 2.2. Again 7.4. Check the third bin, 2.2 minus 0 plus 5.2. Again comes as 7.4. Check the next bin, 12.6 minus 5.2. Comes 7.4. 20 minus 12.6 comes 7.4, right? But if you see the bin over here, it won't be equal range. 17 minus 8.8, it is 17 minus 8.8, it's 8.2, right? So over here, the size will be the same, but number of elements will be different. Over here, the size of the bin will be different, but the number of elements is same, right? So you may need to make some ranges on basis of what is your requirement again, how you want to distribute the data. Any questions between what does cut and Q cut does? Both are effectively making up bins.
So Harish, in this case, actually, in the second case, it will take the 6 numbers from the number we have given right in the top. So in that, the 6 numbers it will equally take in and put it into that range, right?
Right, 6 numbers will go in this bin. It will first understand that there are 30 numbers. It has to put 5 bins. So each bin should get a 6 number. So it will make in such a way that each bin gets a 6 numbers.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions in this? Cut and Q cut, what is the difference? Again, what is the use of bins? So what happens is, let's say you're working on a salary data. So what can be a salary? Someone can have a salary of 10,000. Someone can have a salary of 5,000. Someone can have a salary of 50,000. And someone can have a salary of 1 lakh or 100,000, right? So what you usually do is when you want to make a bin out of it, you make a range out of it. So I want to make a first bin who is of people who are having a salary between 0 and 10,000, right? And we say that this is a bin number 1. Then we make a next group of people who are having a salary between 10,000 and 50,000, group of 2. And another bin between 50,000 and 2 lakhs or 200,000. This is a bin number 3, right? And we use this 1, 2, and 3 for machine learning purpose instead of using the actual salary. Sometime when you make a bin and do machine learning, it gives a better performance because what you are doing is you are grouping it effectively. Because if you have so much difference, your formula will not come. I mean, the machine learning algorithm won't study properly because there is so much variance in a data. What parameter shall I fit it? But when you make into a bins and you make into a smaller things like this, when you fit into a bins, then your machine learning algorithm can study more properly because your, let's say you are doing a y is equal to m into salary plus c, right? This is what your machine learning algorithm is trying to follow. But if your salary is so different like this, and it is ranging from 5,000 until maybe 5 CR, and the salary for Ambani can be 50 crores or 500 crores or 5,000 crores, if you are doing a some expenditure prediction. How much expenditure will be done by a low class guy versus the boss of a company. Let's say you're trying to predict the expense based on salary. But if you do in such a way, the prediction, the algorithm or the model that you make will be not effective unless you convert it into such a way, right? One of the ways is this one. Second way can be just filter out the outlier. Ambani is one of the exception. So just filter out the outliers and make a different model for this, another model for that. But one of the solution can be bins also, group into a bins and then come up with such kind of a machine learning algorithm. So this is very much required in bins, but most of the times you will not make the bin using cut and qcut. When you make a bin, I mean, you can use this cut and qcut for your analysis to understand what is the bin that I should make and it will work better. But when you actually make a bin, you will probably give manually that I want to make a first bin between 0 and 10,000, 10,000 and 50,000, and 50,000 and 200,000. That's where a human is required for a machine learning purpose. Else everything can be automated. So I mean to say is these bins are very essential when we learn machine learning later on. Don't worry if you don't understand much everything, but it's still okay. But one thing you have to understand is for such kind of a scenarios, you will be needing it bin. We'll discuss more when we actually start with machine learning. Any questions so far?
What does that 5 mean in a syntax? Factors
5
comma
means
5.
there will be how many bins you are making. This one.
Okay.
This is my first one is -17 to -8. You can just change it, right? I'll just change it so it will be more clear. I cut into so I make one with a 3. I make it now. So it will make into 3 different ranges. So you can see that there are 3 bins or 3 different ranges. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions, anyone? Okay, so if no questions, then this is